Good morning to all of you. This is Hartaj from UPSC. Second part of the series I have continued जिसमें आपका IMF रहा है, World Bank रहा है, economic policies रही हैं related to present day times. What is fiscal policy? What is monetary policy? ये सब डिस्कस किया गया है सेकेंड पार्ट में. एंड मूविंग ऑन ब्रिक्स क्या है, ये सब चीज़ें डिफरेंट थोड़ा जियोपॉलिटिकल करने के लिए टू गेट यू मोर इंटरेस्टेड हमने इन चीज़ों पे बात किया है. आप ये सीरीज देखेंगे तो आपको मैं आपको प्रॉमिस कर देता हूँ आपके पेपर्स में ये क्वेश्चंस आएंगे. आपको सिर्फ अगर आपको सेकेंड ऑफ ऑल अ लॉट ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स का मेरे को मैसेज आया है, सर ये अगर नोट्स अवेलेबल हो सकते हैं. येस, नोट्स अवेलेबल हैं. आप हमारे टेलीग्राम चैनल पे जा सकते हैं जहाँ पे नोट्स आपको अवेलेबल कर दिए जाएंगे. नहीं तो जो नंबर्स गिवन होंगे उस पर आप व्हाट्सएप कर सकते हैं, तो आपको ये सब नोट्स आपको अवेलेबल हो जाएंगे. द पर्पस ऑफ दिस सीरीज इज ओनली टू हेल्प यू स्कोर वेरी गुड इन योर करंट अफेयर्स इन द कमिंग एग्जामिनेशंस. तो आप इसको आराम से देख सकते हैं.
Same way IMF was formed. How many portions does World Bank have? 5 bodies. Okay, it was conceived in 1944 at Bretton Woods Conference, which basically also discussed the value of money, how it will be, how rupee and other currencies would be. So when we talk about the currencies, the US said, okay, listen, I'm going to pay. The dollar wasn't weighed in terms of an ounce of gold. And accordingly, different currencies were made. That was it. What was the main objective? Reduction of poverty. What had happened? Because of the World War II, there was economic crisis all across the Europe. The entire European continent was in disaster. People had died. There was destruction all around. They had to rebuild Europe. Can you name any such city or any country which surrendered so that its city does not get destroyed? Any country which surrendered because the enemy said, listen, we are going to bomb your city. And to save their city and their heritage, they decided to give up the war and they said, okay, we'll surrender. Just because of this threat. It's a very interesting question. Each city. It's one country in Europe which said, the enemy said, listen, I'm going to bomb your city. And they said, okay, we surrender. Like London was bombed, Berlin was bombed, all the cities were bombed. Huh? Spain, no.
So Poland.
Italy was a part of it. Paris. Germany said, I'm going to bomb it. You have 24 hours. Either you surrender or we are done. That's why the idiom comes French leave. A leave without absence. So entire Europe without permission of anybody. That is what we call it as a French leave. So it's the only country which said, okay, listen, we surrender. All the other countries were, all the other cities were bombed and everything. So it was reconstructing the entire Europe from rubble. After surrendering, the French army disbanded. Some people now, the French people were chosen by the Germans to become a part of the Germans. They were supporting the Germans. So French actually initially started supporting Germans. We reading history, a lot of people think, okay, they were allies versus so and so. But French also started supporting Germans. It was only when America came into the war that French shifted back towards England. So they were very much in support of it. That's a very interesting history for it. The French was very clearly in support of it. Because it was very clear that either you were with the Germans or you would die. That's how the war changes. That's how, like say for example, right now, Afghanistan, America attacked. So people were supporting Afghanistan. There are so many, every situation is the case. The only thing is, according to the laws, you're not supposed to bomb the civilian areas. World War II was a time when civilian areas were bombed. US bombed Nagasaki. Civilians were killed in huge numbers. But it's all justified. Why? Why is it justified? Because who writes history? The victors. So victors write the history. So it is justified because once the victors will be able to write the history. But right now the conventions are very clear. So in 44 it was decided that there are going to be conventions which will run the world. Now technically there are a number of conventions that we are going to also discuss. The most important is United Nations, which has a large number of bodies under it. Similarly, there is economic section of it, which is we talk about which one? The World Bank, and we talk about IMF. When was it formed? 1944. 44. It was formed under the Bretton Woods Conference by poverty, sustainable economic development, reconstruction development, and facilitate international investment and trade. So it was to make the world more open. Now, after World War II, all people were allowed. Indians were allowed. Europeans said, everybody come and settle here. Why? They needed labor. Who's going to construct? Labor. And that's why all Indians and everybody was allowed. Once the construction happened, they said, sorry, we are putting now. Oh, no, you cannot come anymore. You need to be skilled to come to our country. So that's when the borders started coming. Is it clear or not? So 50s, there were no borders. Why were there no borders? Europe wanted reconstruction. It required people. It required manpower. So suddenly it happened. So right now Europe is saying anti-laws. Oh, very interestingly, today President Trump has also said, if you want to go to US, what do you need to? They'll verify what? They'll verify what? Your social media documents. It is true. They'll check your social media accounts. What do you post? What is your leaning towards and everything. So they are going to be checking your social media accounts. So if you're looking forward to it. Okay. So founding members were 44. So make sure that you post correct things. Okay? You especially don't post anything wrong. So how many members are there? 44 initially. Right now there are 189. Now let's understand it. How does it come? We are discussing the economic rebuilding of the world. Somebody has to make economics work. Because the world is right now in loans. Everybody has taken a loan from somebody. Europe, entire Great Britain, which was the richest country, suddenly had a fall because it required weapons, because for running weapons, it required resources, all the resources now it required to take it from America. Since it required to take it from America, it had to borrow money from America. So there was this entire European war which caused this destruction. Germany was running on this principle that, okay, let's keep on fighting the war. Let's occupy more areas. When we occupy more areas, automatically it's going to pay for the war in the future for us. So it was very clear that if somebody will lose, somebody has to pay. It was very clear. Now, the World War came to an end. Everybody knew Germany was almost over. So 44, there was conferences happening. The first conference was reconstruction. That is how the World Bank came into existence. How many members are there? 44. The president right now is Ajay Banga. I've already told you. He's American born. Board of governors, one governor from each member country, generally the finance minister. Board of executive directors, kitne hain? 25, who generally see the work. Now there are 5 components of World Bank. The first one is IBRD, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Who do they give money to? Middle income and low income. What does it refers? Loans, guarantees, policy advice, focuses on infrastructure, health, education, and governance. So if I need something for health or governance, or if I need to set up hospitals, who do I go to? IBRD. That's simple. Just remember that. Known as the World Bank. The second one is International Development Association, generally for the poorest of countries. So it is what? As it is for the poorest, it will be only for poverty elevation. Simple. What is it for? Interest-free loans and grants, poverty reduction, disaster response, donor countries replenish after every 3 years. IFC, finance. Finance is simple for projecting for private companies. So they can put in more projects and everything. How do we go to IFC? The first one is IBRD, the second one is IDA, the third one is IFC, the fourth one is MIGA. MIGA is where the conflict is there. So the World Bank acts as a guarantor and says there's going to be risk, but we promise you money is going to be safe. So you can invest here. Now, if I need to right now invest in Afghanistan, where do I go with the loan? I go with the loan from IFC. MIGA, who's going to be guaranteeing my loan. Next one, ICIST, International Center for Settlement for Investment Disputes. It provides arbitration and legal resolution. जैसे कि बैंक ने पैसा दिया किसी ने नहीं दिया, there has to be resolution, right? हमारे यहाँ पे क्या होता है? बैंक वाले क्या करते हैं? What do they do? They tend to bully you. They bully the people, the common people. Yes or no? So there has to be somebody for arbitration. For arbitration, what do they do? You have ICST. Funding sources, AAA bonds. AAA are the most safest bonds. Loan repayment and interest, donor country contributions, especially for IDA. Everybody clear with this? MIGA is where offers political risk insurance and credit guarantees encourages foreign investment in riskier, unstable regions. Suppose now I need to make roads Afghanistan. Guarantee it offers is like it will only invest if they promise the government. The country also requires it. Right now, Afghanistan also needs resources. So Afghanistan says, sorry, we're not going to do anything. You can do whatever. We will not touch this road. So there are certain investments all across the world which are safe and secure. It's run by Taliban. Even we are investing still because we had already invested earlier. Now we are investing it again for a reason, because at the end of the day, we are looking at roads, we are looking at railways which are going to connect us. Now, no, it will be that would be safe. Your investment will be safe. So they give a guarantee for MEGA. That is where the guarantees are. So it will not, otherwise, if you do it, next time they will not put money. You will require money, come what may. Afghanistan required money. It was so telling the world that, listen, we require money. The administration has changed, we require money. So whatever US had blocked, they said, please give us the money back. Is that clear or not? So we have these following basic interesting factors which were there. Afghanistan is also getting money right now. India is reopening its investments in Afghanistan. We are also talking to Taliban now. We recognize there as a rule. We cannot say that, okay, they're not giving women education, we will not do this, because we have to make our interests safe. So we require right now to go into Iran. We know somebody, because Afghanistan is now having a bad relationship with Pakistan. So we require it. Who? Pakistan does. It has loans. It has taken 15 times loans. That was because World Bank, now very interesting, the World Bank was the one who made the treaty for which industry. It was World Bank which discussed the industry. What is the World Bank? Which organization this would be discussing the industry treaty? Basically, it's IBRD which has the loan, because it's reconstruction and development. So it was the one coming in forward and saying that, okay, the countries require it for more progress. India today has said that World Bank will not be allowed to look into the projects any further, because we've already paid it off and everything. We say we don't want this. Everybody clear with the 5 things, organs? Now we come to IMF. IMF was also conceived at the Bretton Woods conference. What was the role of World Bank, by the way? Poverty elevation, development, and so on. Whereas the headquarters is also in Washington, D.C. Right now, 190 members of the members countries working together. This is very important. What's the motto? Working together to improve the lives of people everywhere. What is the objective, or what is the motto of IMF? Working together to improve the lives of people. Main objectives: to promote international monetary cooperation between countries, facilitate balanced growth of global trade, ensure exchange rate stability. Now, first is, this is more related to trade. And how do we trade? We trade with currency. So how did, by the way, India at the same time, when yesterday we discussed, very interestingly, there was problem. Yesterday, Iran hit Qatar. So there is this Strait of Hormuz. Let me just make it like this. This is Qatar for you. This is the Strait of Hormuz, and this is Iran. I don't have a drawing for it. But if I can find a drawing for it, yeah. Right. This is the Strait of Hormuz. This is Qatar, where Iran hit yesterday all American bases. This is what we have here is UAE. Next we have here is Saudi Arabia. What country do we have here? This one is Iran. Now, if you look at it, why is this Strait of Hormuz very important? Is because 20% of your oil comes from here. 1/5 of the oil comes from here. Which country is here? You have also Iran. Iraq has oil, Saudi Arabia has oil, Iran has oil, then you have UAE having oil, then you have Qatar having natural gas. So Iran said, sorry, I'm blocking up Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz means 1/5 of the global trade of oil will be disrupted. That would increase the oil prices. America is already looking, Iran had this choke point with it. America is already having trade negotiation with a lot of countries. What has happened? It says, okay, I'm putting tariffs 30%, 50%. America was banking on the thing that before the countries come in. So what we are going to do, we are going to reduce the value of US dollar. Thereby, our imports will become cheaper and everything. Secondly, America also increased the supply of its own oil, so that the Brent crude becomes cheaper. If the Brent crude becomes cheaper, inflation in US would become less. But with this coming up, the inflation in US is bound to get bigger. The production that he's talking about, or the US Trumpnomics, will not have work. It would also have an effect on India. So India, very interestingly, did something very different today. Or earlier, when it knew this, because this war stayed for how many days? 12 days. They called it 12 days war because now it's over. Very interestingly, when did it get over? I told you very early. Before the markets. Before, they'll never get done during the market. Before any markets, the global markets, when I say they start or end, it's before that, not during. And that was before Japanese market was to start. Trump came in and said, okay, sorry, we're done with it. Any war also starts, any major escalation will also happen not during the market hours. That's a basic concept which happens in the majority of the countries. Okay, very interestingly, now 20% of our oil was to be done because we also get oil from here. So India, what it did, India at the same time shifted all its resources from, which country? Russia. Russia is giving it for cheaper because Russian economy, Russia has been also put by sanctions. So Russia decided to give us cheaper. At the same time, all this was done in Indo-rupee, rupee and rubles. So we don't require dollars. So that's why oil is a big problem. Why is this a problem for us also? You have to understand. Recently, now there are two policies I'd like to discuss. We'll do this in economics because the RBI governor recently, there was a very interesting policy that we have. I'm just going into, this is all current only. Fiscal versus monetary. What's the difference between fiscal versus monetary policy? Prior to this, let me give a certain aspect. The RBI in April reduced the repo rate by 0.25% and now recently it reduced by 0.50%. Is it clear? This is what the RBI reduced the policy by how much? It reduced by 0.25 and 0.5. That means this is called the repo rate. Now, what is the repo rate? They'll ask you this. I am the RBI. I give a loan to other banks. Let it be central bank, let it be SBI. I give them loans. I give them loans at 5.5% right now. Earlier it was 6.25. More the interest rate, more the banks would give us. If they're taking loan from RBI at 5.5, they'll give us at 12%. Now, when it was 6.5, it was 12. Now it is 5.5. It will be reduced. Same way. So more loans are going to happen. More loans. Now, if from 12 it reduces to 12, 10%, what happens? More loans people will take. More loans means more investment by private sector, more expenditure, more purchases. Is it clear or not? That is the case of it. Why was RBI willing to do that? Because the retail inflation was at all-time low at 3%, which saw it was very comfortable. So they said if the prices are less, people can now afford. If the retail inflation becomes too expensive, RBI will increase the repo rates. Is it clear? 2008, understand, the repo rates were almost at 0% because there was absolutely zero inflation. There was economic crisis. Clear or not? This is the policy decided by the RBI. It has very short, quick effects. Because RBI announced it, automatically loans got cheaper. If you decide, suppose I wanted to buy a car and the major factor for me was a loan. If the loans get less, I decide to buy. I decide now to take loans. It quickly makes a thing. That is what we say. What's a repo rate? Clear, everybody? What's a repo rate? RBI gives a loan to banks. What's the reverse repo rate? Anyone? To RBI. That's reverse repo. So two things related to it. That is what we can do. At the same time, what did the government announce prior to this? गवर्नमेंट ने क्या अनाउंस किया था कि हमारी जो पॉलिसी से रिलेटेड कुछ गवर्नमेंट ने अनाउंस किया था. What did government announce? Anyone? What did government announce in terms of policy? गवर्नमेंट ने बोला कि हम अभी आपने 2025 का बजट सुना होगा. गवर्नमेंट ने बोला मैं बजट जो हमारा टैक्स का लिमिट है वो बढ़ा रही हूँ. ऑटोमेटिकली टैक्स लिमिट से क्या होएगा? अगर टैक्स आपको पहले 6 लाख तक नो टैक्स था, क्या कर दिया? 10 तक नो टैक्स कर दिया. अगर 10 लाख तक नो टैक्स लिमिट है तो ऑटोमेटिकली क्या होएगा? पीपल विल, जो उनकी सेविंग बचेगी तो क्या करेंगे? वो एक्सपेंडिचर ज्यादा करेंगे. एक्सपेंडिचर ज्यादा करने से क्या होता है? लोग खरीदेंगे ज्यादा, स्पेंडिंग पावर इंक्रीजेस. अगर लोग ज्यादा खरीदेंगे तो क्या होएगा? ऑटोमेटिकली इन्फ्लेशन भी बढ़ता है. Now these are two factors which inflation is going to increase the more we spend. Similarly, here also inflation is, RBI said okay, there's a policy of it. Since inflation has come down, we can increase it. So let people spend more because you also जितना खर्चा होएगा उतना ही क्या होएगा? Growth. So growth and inflation are two things which work together. Alternatively, growth ज़्यादा होएगा तो inflation भी बढ़ेगा. Growth कम होएगा तो inflation कम होगा. Is it clear? तो government को growth और inflation दोनों मैच करके चलना है. It cannot do कि inflation बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाए और growth भी बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाए. That is also not a good scenario. Okay, so this is a policy by the government. उसको हम क्या बोल देंगे? Fiscal policy. जो गवर्नमेंट इंट्रोड्यूस करती है जिसकी वजह से इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ सकती है, कम कर सकते हैं. और ये इतनी जल्दी तो होएगा नहीं. जब आप टैक्स पे करोगे फिर आएगा, फिर आपका घर का बजट बनेगा. दैट्स व्हेन यू डू इट. इट्स नॉट वन. नाउ इफ आई एम एन इन्वेस्टर, पुट माय मनी इन द बैंक, 1 मिनट में आरबीआई ने पॉलिसी चेंज कर दी और मेरा रेपो रेट कम कर दिया. मेरे को लोन कम मिले, मेरे को सॉरी इंटरेस्ट कम मिलेगा. तब मैं बोलूंगा अगर मेरे को इंटरेस्ट कम मिल रहा है, लेट्स लुक एट अ रिसोर्स वेयर आई कैन पुट मोर इंटरेस्ट. So I'll invest there. That's why I said investment, private investment increases. Clear or not? बहुत simple logic. Repo rate clear हो गया, ये clear हो गया. Which policy would you see making quick effects? Fiscal or monetary? Monetary. Monetary is RBI. Fiscal is by the early effects are by monetary policy. Clear or not? Now, I'm not digressing from the topic. I'll come back to the topic. The RBI thought inflation is coming less. Recently, what happened? The war happened. Suddenly, the oil prices spiked by 12-15%. Oil prices increase automatically. Diesel prices, everything increases. Your products which are coming, shipping cost increases, everything increases. Automatically increases the rate of the product. If the rate of the product increases, क्या हो जाता है? Inflation बढ़ जाता है. और RBI ने already कम किया हुआ है. But RBI was only thinking कि अभी जो present inflation है उसके हिसाब से. So हमारे लिए it's important for India's point of view also that it is very helpful that हमारा क्या हो रहा है? The war is over. Because RBI ने फिर क्या करना था? RBI had to change its policy as early as possible. Increase of inflation and increase of GDP doesn't go too well. Inflation normal level पे रहे और GDP बढ़ती जाए, that is what is the ideal scenario. Clear or not? महंगाई बढ़ती जाए is not an ideal scenario because your pockets will keep on saving less. Okay, clear everybody? Okay, done. So what is the role of IMF? IMF role, if World Bank is for reconstruction, IMF is for trading. What is it for? Exchange rate, balance growth, and international monetary corporation. Monetary is handled by RBI. Understand what's the difference between fiscal and monetary? There's a question, direct question will come directly. Now, when I speak something like this, I'm telling you, economics is, जब हम simple तरीके से explain करते हैं, बहुत simple है, पर इस पे question आता है, और ये मैं दिखा भी दूंगा. Tomorrow I'll show you the exact thing, fiscal policy और monetary policy पे questions क्या आते हैं. It took me 5 minutes to explain, everybody's got it. Because अब जब तक हम geopolitics convert नहीं करेंगे तो RBI policy नहीं बनेगा. Money works with everything around us. RBI पैसा कैसे बढ़ाती है? बढ़ाएगी कब? कब करेगी? जब इन्फ्लेशन एक फैक्टर तो इंडिया के अंदर हो गया, एक फैक्टर आउटसाइड है. इंडिया पाकिस्तान वॉर चलेगा, इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ेगी या कमेगी? बढ़ेगी. सिंपल सी है. नाउ प्रोडक्शन कम हो जाएगी, प्रोडक्शन कम होगी तो ऑटोमेटिकली क्या होएगा? डिमांड बढ़ेगी. That's inflation. So demand is inverse of supply. जब सप्लाई ज्यादा होती है डिमांड, डिमांड ज्यादा है तो सप्लाई क्या हो जाएगी? Provide short-term financial assistance to member countries in crisis. Offer technical support and economic surveillance. Functions: lending. First is lending money, providing financial aid to counter financing balance of payment crisis. What is balance of payment now? Balance of payment is the international fund that we require. The fund we require to pay for, say for example, I require for oil. I need to pay for oil. उसको क्या बोल देंगे? Balance of payment. Is it clear? When we are not having so much money, like right now, Pakistan almost was about to get zero BOP. BOP is balance of payment, the amount of export minus imports. You have some money you have to pay, but if you don't have foreign currency to pay, or you become default, you'll become default. So for that, I'll ask a loan. That's what right now Pakistan went to World Bank also for this. World Bank. This is short term. If I need for longer period, they'll give me loans for a bigger period of time. Is it clear? IMF is for short term. Same was to happen with which country? Our neighbor, Sri Lanka. It did not go to World Bank, it came to India that time. Okay. Surveillance. Monitors global economic trends and advises countries through tools like World Economic Outlook. Because who tells the world GDP is going to be there? It is the World Bank. जो बताता है कि कितनी GDP चलेगी इस साल. Capacity helps build economic institutions and governance structures in member countries. Research and policy advice publishes studies on inflation. Fiscal policy क्या होता है? Government. Inflation, fiscal policy and monetary is RBI. Fiscal policy is government. Is it clear? Fiscal policy is just in the world. What should be the fiscal policy like? It advises the country. Any country, like say for example, right now, it has advised Pakistan. World Bank has given a loan. It advised Pakistan what should it do? Reduce subsidies, put direct taxes, so that you get more money out of it. It tells how you can make more money. Is it clear? So what it advises? Inflation, fiscal policy, and trade. So what is the maximum? They're different. You keep on getting extended. There's nothing as maximum as such. India and IMF. India is the founding member of IMF. India has voting rights based on its financial quota. Currently, we are the 13th largest shareholder. Which size is the economy, by the way? We're not fourth. But in terms of it, we are at 13th. Fourth largest economy. US. US, China. Then China. IMF has offered India policy advice, technical support, especially during the 91 economic crisis and 2000 pandemic. Established in 45, Washington DC 44, who is the managing director, Kristalana. He reported World Economic Outlook and global financial stability. This is the most important. On the World Economic Output, it tells right now that the wars are coming and everything. It tells about the world GDP. It also, just RBI gives the Indian GDP numbers, it gives the world economic output. So these two factors or these two indicators come from IMF. And the second one is global financial stability. How the voting rights decide? India's position in terms of voting right is which one? 13. Every IMF member is being assigned a quota. Simple. The amount of money that I do or I put into the bank is the amount of voting rights I get. Is it clear or not? Special drawing rights. A country's quota is based on its GDP, economic openness, financial strength and trade volume. Larger economies is equal to larger quota is equal to more. Each member total votes is basic votes for all plus additional votes based on the quota. The quota is decided on GDP, economic openness, financial strength and trade volume. Just remember this. About the size of the economy, what is the financial strength of the economy right now, how much trade it is making, and economically how much is relying other people to invest. That gives you the quotas in IMF. Each member gets how many basic votes? 750. What are the four things on which the quota is decided quickly? GDP, size of the country, economic openness, how much I allow other countries to invest in my country. What's the third one? Trade. Trade. How much am I trading? Financial strength. That's what we say. Plus one vote is equal to 1,000 special drawing rights for their. This is for US, China, then India is at 30. Why quota matters? Influence over IMF decisions, of course, yes or no? Because right now World Bank dominates US. US decided, okay, Pakistan has to be given money. Is it clear? So India did not. Access to financing, the bigger the quota, the more money the country can borrow. Special drawing rights used in international reserve asset. Quotas are reviewed after every 3 years. 2010-23 aim to giving emerging economies like India, China, Brazil more voting powers. These will be 5 years. Everybody clear? Can you revise? IMF was found which year? Where was it found? 44. What is the main purpose of IMF? Reduce. This is related to trade, finance. What else? Make sure the economic balance is there. These are the things. Balance growth. Functions of IMF: lending money to somebody in terms of the BOP becomes very. It's a BOP. Last moment BOP. It is a service. No, that's we are saying when BOP balance of payment issues are going to be there. Otherwise, the country would become defaulted. So if you become default, your economy is like completely screwed. So you get some time to revive your economy. Same was in 91. Indian economy would have been under a big problem. So we had to now open our economy. That is when we say liberalization, privatization, and globalization. It is also true during Obama's regime, he kept on insisting that China become more open, more open. The day they decided to make China more open, you know how China's growth has happened. So their economy became absolutely boosted. Lending, then we have surveillance. What economic trends, advices, which are the two indicators on which the IMF gives money? Two indicators on which IMF works quickly. What are the two indicators on which IMF gives money? Openness and GDP. These are the two indicators on which the IMF gives. Next, India was the founding member. Yes or no? So India was the founding member for it. Clear? What else was there? What else? We consider the following statements in respect of the IBRD. It provides loans and guarantees to middle income countries. Correct. Single-handedly to help developing countries to reduce poverty. No. Which one is the one which works for poverty? IDA. It was established to help Europe rebuild after the World War. That's why we called it reconstruction. So it is 1 and 3. New Development Bank is banks of BRICS that we discussed. BRICS. Let's understand when did BRICS come into existence. BRICS. It was a term given in 2001. The first country, it was 2009 was it formed. Russia, where Vostok is the name of the place where it happened. B, Brazil, Russia, India, China. South Africa was added in 2010. Now, which recently 2024 is when the session was held where? Kazan. Yes or no? The session was held in Kazan. This is where we have the session was held in Kazan, Russia. Which countries were introduced? Could you please tell me? Which countries? 2 I's, 2 E's were introduced. 2 I's is Indonesia and Iran. 2 E's, Egypt and Ethiopia. And the last one is Saudi Arabia. Which country says we will see to it? Argentina. They're not so sure, but they say, okay, that is where it is. Now we come to New Development Bank. That's the bank of the BRICS. It's a multilateral development bank. What does BRICS say? That G20 has to be counted. मल्टीलैटरल वर्ल्ड होना चाहिए जहाँ पे यूएन बॉडीज हैं जो बहुत ज्यादा यूएस टिल्टेड है, वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड टिल्टेड, दे शुड शिफ्ट टुवर्ड्स द साउथ, मोर साउथ ट्रेड, साउथ टू साउथ ट्रेड. साउथ टू साउथ क्या होता है? जो पुअर कंट्रीज है वो आपस में ट्रेड ज्यादा बेटर करें. इट इज बेसिकली बिकम द वॉइस ऑफ द साउथ. देयर इज ग्लोबल नॉर्थ एंड ग्लोबल साउथ. ग्लोबल नॉर्थ इज जनरली डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज, global south is the countries which are developing. Now, it's a development bank set up to finance infrastructure, sustainable development projects in the BRICS economies. It was set up during the 6th BRICS summit at Brazil. Remember, it was not set up directly. The new development bank was set up during the 6th summit. Right now, the last summit was held where? Kazan. What happened? 5 new economies were added. Shanghai, China is the thing. Founding members, we already know BRICS. What the full form is? Is it clear? Provide an alternative to IMF and World Bank, especially for developing countries. So that every country is not dependent on which country, World Bank or IMF. So who's controlling at the end of the day, who's controlling everything? US. Who's controlling everything? It's the US. Yes or no? Everything is controlled by US. So to provide an alternative, we also require something. That's how the BRICS came into existence. So they say, okay, if you're not able to do that, of course, we can take money from us. But at the end of the day, majority money is with US. So that's where every country goes. Promote South-South cooperation in a development finance, supports infrastructure, energy, water, transportation, urban development, and environmental. What is infrastructure? China. Energy, water, transportation, urban development, and environment. So that's simple. What is India and China looking forward? We are looking at maximizing our road network. So what is that? Infrastructure, energy, transportation, water. What are we looking at? Urban development and environmental projects. Capital structure, initial authorized capital of 100 billion. Subscribe 50 billion equally shared among the founding members. 10 billion by each country. Key functions: offer loans, equity investments, guarantees and technical assistance, finance sustainable and clean energy projects, cooperates with AIIB. New members included Bangladesh, UAE, Egypt, and Uruguay. India has used NDB funds for metro projects, road rail. Which are the projects in which we are using? Infrastructure and sustainable development, where it develops. IMF is for macroeconomics. Macro means BOPs and all this, which affect the economy of a country. This is only for development infrastructure. Governance, equal voting. Here, IMF, the voting is according to the money, the size. No political condition attached, often with economic reforms. Because right now they gave money to Pakistan, so there was clauses. You have to do this. Similarly, when India was given in 1991, what are the clauses? LPG. You need to make more privatization. You need to allow companies to come and establish their headquarters in India. So earlier we did not allow. Is it clear? We said earlier our economy was a closed economy. Who was controlling everything? The government. Social. So they said, no, now everybody else can come in. So now that's how you had private companies coming into India. So prior, especially for our parents, why it becomes a complete thing, change, is because when they were born in 90s and everything, 90s was a time, 90s to 2000 was a time when there was nothing in India. Or we were just wearing bata, or we were wearing simple things. No, it is not India, but bata was there. Bata was there. Then you would have Liberty, you would have all these. There was no Indian brands. There was Pizza Hut wasn't there, Domino's wasn't there, nothing was there in India. Can you imagine a country not having something? India did not have till 90s anything. So it takes slowly, 2000 when we had completely the outside sectors coming into 91. Till 91 we did not have. We had simple 3 cars, which Ambassador, Fiat or Maruti, which was added up. There was after 91 when they said privatization would be allowed. Companies were there, Tatas were there, but they were told to manufacture not for the outside world, but only to a limited constraint. They were constrained. We were not like right now. We say very interestingly in rare earth metals, we say private companies have 100% FDI. Earlier, there used to be 100% used to be with government. That's the case. The Bank of BRICS, officially New Development Bank, is global South-led financial institution focused on inclusive and sustainable development, especially of developing countries, offering an alternative to Western-dominated banks. What's the difference? It's China-led AIIB, Beijing, China, Shanghai. This is this one. That's ADB, sorry. Core focus: sustainable development, infrastructure, and economic development. How many countries are there? 10 plus membership. Here 100 plus. Equal voting, weighted voting based on capital share, just like IMF or World Bank. India founding members. Political conditions are known. No, here it is minimal. The lending of currency would be in US dollar. That's why BRICS wanted what? The currency to change to what? Their own currency. So that we no longer depended on dollar. Is it clear or not? Okay. What all places has the NDB given loans? Rajasthan water sector, Madhya Pradesh major district roads, rural road projects, metro rail projects, renewable health sector. It does not, remember this, NDB does not deal with macroeconomics. Yes, Kochi metro also. It does not deal with macroeconomics. It only deals with what? Infrastructure, development, renewable, this. It does not deal with macro. Macro is dealt with only World Bank. It will give you advice for the economy. Their conditions attached. We were given a loan only if a BOP's issue is there. We will not money required. Everybody goes to World Bank for. Is it clear? Okay. NDB supports large-scale infrastructure green projects in India with no conditionalities. AIB focuses mainly across Asia, but has funded urban and rural development in India. India's founding members of both institutions are major borrowers. The loan support Make in India, Bharatmala, smart cities, national infrastructure pipelines. How many rare earth metals are there? 17. Who has the maximum production? Is it clear? What are they used for? Simple. Think, logic. EVs. What are they used for? Smartphones. Anything electronics, electrical. You have any aerospace. All what is used. Rare earth metals. Who is the largest producer? Who is the largest? Who has the largest resources? Also China. And who is the largest producer? Is also China. When I say refining of a rare earth metal is also done by China. There are how many? 17. This is the case of it. Just go through this. What are they used for? As I said, just once you go through it. Clear? Next, which country's maximum supply? We discussed China, production and also processing, then US. For this, in terms of connecting this, इसको reduce करने के लिए क्या किया हमने? What did we do? हमने एक organization बनाई कि चाइना पे not dependent रहे. उसको क्या बोलते हैं? What is MSP? Mineral Security Partnership, in which we decided with US and like-minded countries that we cannot be dependent on China because China cuts off the supply. Other metals are not available. So what is America focusing? What is Japan focusing on? Recycling, because Japan has none. Japan is focusing on recycling. What are we doing? Monazite sand, we're sending it outside so that somebody can mine it further. What is America doing? Increasing its production where? California. What is Australia doing? Production changes by which one? Which organization? Which organization is Australia doing with Linus Corp? There. These are different alternatives that we have. What is the name of the organization? This is the question that we have. Some rare earth mineral security group. Security partnership. Yes. Linus is an organization just like we have NALCO, which knows refining of aluminum. NALCO. No. This is Linus is something that is basically going to define this. Okay, some rare earth metals are used in manufacture of television screens and computer. Yes or no? Some rare earth metals have phosphorus. Of course, that's the reason why it glows. That's it. What's your option? Everybody clear with this? Okay. Let's move to it. National Restoration Law, where it comes with European Union organized in 2024. What is the main objective? To reduce climate change and restore 20% of the biodiversity by which time? 2030. At least 20% of the European land and sea by 2030. Reverse the decline of pollinators. That's important. So that means what do you need to do? Increase the population of bees and butterflies. Improve the health of forest land, wetlands, rivers, grasslands. Support carbon capture. Carbon capture means it's growing more trees. Okay, this is the question. Which organization has enacted the National Restoration Law? European Union. World Bank advises. Does not make laws. Again, repeating. Did World Bank make law of any country? It only makes it. Organization of, we are going to do this. FA also just advice. This is this advisory. This is advisory. This only is to give basic things. Next. Okay, this was also a question. We've already done COP. COP 26 where? COP 27? 28? 29? This was a question which we did this UNESCO also be done. Let's revise it through. This is, we have to go through this. Okay, Stockholm Declaration. There's a question for this also. Stockholm Declaration. What? 72 human. For the first time for humans, what it was there. Human environment. Let's go step by step. Now comes for the CFC. Which one was the one for CFC? Vienna for ozone, then Montreal, then Kigali. Let's revise it through. Vienna was the first time framework for international cooperation to protect the ozone layer. There are so many questions based on this. Please just remember this. This is like the most important chart of it. We had Vienna, which said, okay, ozone layer is there. Then there was Montreal, which said we need to phase out production and consumption of ozone depleting substances in the CFCs. That's why further and further you have gases also changing. Like R20 is the new refrigerant that is used in ACs. The old gas is no longer used. Earlier one was RE. Is it clear? Vienna, Montreal. The next one was Kigali. Phase down HFCs under Montreal Protocol. So we have 3 ones together. Quick one. Vienna, Montreal, Kigali. Basel goes for what? Hazardous waste. Basel is in continuation of which one? Basel. Continuation of which one? Rotterdam. This is for hazardous waste and chemicals. Transponder movement of hazardous waste and its disposal. Trade in hazardous chemical requires prior informed consent. Which one was hazardous waste? Hazardous waste, Basel and Rotterdam. BRC. Remember, bad reactive chemicals. Basel, Rotterdam, chemicals. This is related to chemicals. Can we revise it? Okay. Ozone. How do we remember it? If ozone is there, you're welcome. Just remember from that. Welcome के लिए VMK. Is it clear? We make care or whatever. For ozone, we care. Okay, so how do we remember it? O. Ozone से Vienna. M. Bad reaction chemicals. Basel, Rotterdam. Chemicals. These were hazardous chemical transportation. Rio Earth Summit was the first summit which was held, which is the COP. Which one? COP. After the COP was to be done, UNFCCC was to be formed. That is COP. What is COP full form? Convention of Parties. Convention of Parties or Conference of Parties. Is it clear? They're coming together. What is Convention of Biological Diversity? Kyoto. Kyoto was legally binding greenhouse emissions. Now we come to greenhouse gases. First is Kyoto, then is Paris. What is the Paris Convention? Now it became legally binding. Kyoto was legally binding greenhouse gas reductions for developed countries. Paris was to reduce the climate change, or the temperature should not increase beyond 2 degrees, and we should control it to 1.5. Any doubts for this? The first one that we had is Kyoto, then we have Paris. After that, all the COPs come into existence. So we have done this. Doha is also extension of Kyoto Protocol. So we have here Kyoto, Doha, and then we had Paris. Nagoya was what? Genetic. Cartagena, biosafety, tech, biodiversity. Now this is the different one. Cartagena is for biodiversity. Everybody clear? Okay. Can we revise everything? Okay. BRC is what? Chemicals. Ozone. Kyoto. Emissions. That's for emissions. Then we had for Cartagena was for biodiversity. What's the most important one? Rio. For the formation of COP scheme, basically, that's where we decided COP, and we also had biodiversity. These are the bases. Kyoto Protocol specifically deals with emission reduction. Is it clear? Kyoto. Green. What are chlorofluorocarbons? See, which are the Vienna, Montreal, Kyoto. After Kyoto, we had which one? Is it clear? Remember this. What questions to it? I had put in more questions. Let me see. Oh yeah, we did BRICS. BRICS was started which year? Who gave the term BRICS? 2001, Raymond Neal. BRIC 2009, 10th was 2010 was BRICS. 2010, which 2014 was the form of NDB. NDB headquarters are where? Shanghai. The main role of NDB. How many members are there for NDB? 10. 10. Main is for any country without any conditions. How much is the loan that the capacity money that they have is $100 billion. 10 billion for the 5 founding members. Is it clear? Headquarters China. Shanghai, China. Okay. 2024, you had BRICS summit in which 5 new members were added. Which 5 new members? I told you 2 E's, 2 I's, and Saudi Arabia. Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, and Iran. Argentina has not officially agreed to it. Is it clear? These were things. Kazan, it happened. What was full implementation of BRICS expansion? Reform on global. What? Reform on what? Global policies, BRICS currency talks, security, multipolarity, trade, and cooperation. BRICS institutions we discussed. NDB's contingency reserve agreement, BRICS Business Council, and BRICS Think Tank Council. Okay, we came to know about it. Okay, 16th BRICS was held under the chairmanship of Russia in Kazan. Is that true, by the way? Where was the 16th BRICS summit held? In Kazan. Is it clear? Where was it held? In Kazan. Which members were added? Indonesia. Yes. The theme was multiculturalism for just global development and security. This also we agree, because we had done this. What I told you earlier. What is the main purpose of BRICS? What are they trying to counter? They're trying to counter the monopoly of US. Is it clear? So what are they looking for? Peace, development, and multipolar. Also, to protect sovereignty of a country. I told you what Russia is not doing, but sovereignty, sustainable development, economic, political, and cultural cooperation. What by it now? Iran. What happened? Has India issued any statement against Iran or in favor of Iran? Okay. So very interestingly, India was very much under the gauge by China, America for a long period of time. So when we had burst our own nuclear bomb, and we require nuclear fuel for energizing our nuclear reactors. That is when we spoke a lot against Iran not having the nuclear, should not have any nuclear domain or anything. Because at that time, in Manmohan Singh's time, we were trying to have a deal with US. Now, when the deal has come through, we are the ones who initially were against it, but are now abstaining, saying that if anybody requires nuclear fuel for energy of its citizens, we don't disagree. So our stand with Iran has also changed from a negative to a positive, because we have which investment in Iran? Anyone? Shabhat. Bandarabas is from where we get all our coal and everything. This is the India International North-South Trade, because we are connecting with Russia, we require it. Similarly, right now, imagine the Russian oil could have come directly to Bandarabas, from Bandarabas to Mumbai, way cheaper, but we have to take a longer route for the same. So that is why we require Iran as a friend. As Israel, not Israel has always spoken against Pakistan, agreed. But in terms of support, we require both Israel and Iran. That's why India doesn't say anything. Back again, can we continue? BRICS summit, we've done